What's up everyone, China Cycling here. We are starting a brand new project today. Sub 6 for 6. So I'm going to try and make a sub 6 kilogram fully hydraulic disc brake road bike for less than or around $6,000 US. So you may remember originally I was building up my 3T Strada to do a wheel test series here, but that frame had a problem. I can't put some wheels on it. So we're back to square one. I hinted in the 3T video that I was going to build a new frame, and this is it behind me. It's called the Tavelo Attack. More about that in a minute, but I'll tell you about the project first. So my project is called Sub 6 for 6. Of course, I'm also going to try and use as many products as I can from our website, pandapodium.cc. So we'll see how we get on with that. So yeah, that's the project. You know, these days the Tarmac SL8 is all popular and hip. That costs $14,000 US and weighs 6.6 kilograms without pedals. So my goal is to go half a kilo or more lighter than that. So I'm gonna go sub 6 kilos and I'm gonna go half the price at $6,000 US. Am I gonna do it? What I'm gonna use to do it? Let's find out. So in this video, we're going to go through all the different components I'm going to use. We have the scales of truth to see how much they'll weigh, and we should have an idea of how much the overall build will be and how much it costs, where to get these parts, etc. So let's just jump right in. Let's dive right in. That's going to be today's video, so let's check it out. So at the center of any build is the frame, and as you can see here, I have this one. This is from a brand I guess you've never heard of called Tavelo. Now this particular frame is their Attack model. So as you can see, it's kind of like your all-round road bike disc brake model, the kind of things that you see from every brand these days, you know, aero profiles on some of the tubes and then drop seat stays, yada, yada, yada. Obviously, a bunch of these frames these days all look very similar, but it may look identical to a couple of frames out there. That's because Tavelo, they also have an OEM sister division of the company who are also selling this frame in different countries around the world with different logos on it. It's not an open mold, so lots of people get confused about what an open mold is. Open mold means anyone can just come along to a factory and place an order for it and they'll slap your sticker on it. This is an open mold. The design for this frame is owned by Company X, and then Company X says to all these other companies, okay, in this country you can have this frame as your brand, in that country you can have this frame as your brand. So as such, I will be selling this frame set on our website, but there will be some restrictions on what countries we can sell it to, but there'll be more details on that on the website. But anyway, so this is my personal one. I went for a size S, the smallest is a size XS. I went for the lightest paint job I could get because obviously we're going for the sub 6 for 6. So basically I have the raw carbon, and you can see like the carbon weave layup in there with just this very simple silver Tavelo graphics on the down tube and some of the small graphics like the size here and whatnot. Other specs on the frame, I think my frame set weighed 851 grams, I think it was when I weighed it, for just the frame, with like as few accessories on it as possible. We've got a BB86 bottom bracket, you know, classic, works with almost anything. Tire clearance I think goes up to a 32, but not my issue. I'm gonna actually ring 25s on this build because I rode 25s again for the first time in ages of the day, and oh my god, they feel so much better than 28s. I am blessed living in Xiamen. The road quality is very good. So, you know, there is that to consider, but yeah. Seat post, of course, a proprietary seat post, aero profile, yada, yada, yada. Obviously, flat mount disc brakes. There's a rear derailleur hanger there. I'm actually going to swap it out for a direct mount Shimano rear derailleur. As you can see, I've already cut the fork. After cutting, the fork is now 374 grams for the fork, and as you can see, it's got this quite aero profiling, so that's not too bad. Not super weight weenie. Like I say, I'm not trying to build a weight weenie bike that can only just sit on the scales. I'm trying to build an everyday, fully rideable, fully raceable bike. So that's what this is going to be. Obviously, there's a few other accessories that come with the frame, like the mount for the saddle on the top and the seat post clamp and all those other small bits and bobbins. I'll put those in there on the weight as well. Through axles, I've got the choice of using the Overfast carbon fiber through axles, which weigh 30 grams. But I weighed the stock through axles on this. I think they're like 66 grams. So, you know, if I really need to start digging away at some weight, I'll switch over to carbon through axles. But to keep the budget down for now, I'm going to stick with the original aluminium through axles. The headset is the one that comes with the frame. I think it's by FSA. I weighed that as well. So let's have a look at the weights. So for the frame set, we've got 835 grams. The through axles are like 67 grams. The accessories for the frame, I'm not sure. I just put 40 grams for now. The fork, when it's cut, was 374 grams. And the headset I weighed at 90 grams. The seat post with its little accessories, 140 grams. So we should be pretty good there. Obviously, a big part of any build is the wheels, and you can guess already what I'm going to use for this. Boom. Of course, it is my new favorite wheel that everyone knows, the CRW CS, and I'm going to go for the 40/45 version because, like I say, I want all of the weight advantage I can get. These things, every time I pick them up, I'm always shocked at just how light they are. 1,180 grams for the pair. Let's have a quick look at that. So, let's check out the front wheel. 530.6. Let's put that in there. Rear wheel. I do actually quite like that free hub sound. It's growing on me. So I've got these with the black decals. As you know, CRWs used to come with gold decals. We asked them to change them up for black details, and they did that. But I might end up getting some silver stickers that match the frame. Put some silver stickers on there. We'll see how it looks when it's built up. But anyway, let's weigh this rear wheel. So we've got 632.5. 632.5, which if XL is right, brings me to 1,163 grams. So I don't actually have rim tape on here at the minute. I kind of stole these from the CRW HQ. They were one of the first samples of the black decals. So I still need to put some tubeless tape on there, which will add about 18 grams for 2 wheels, I think, in my experience. But yeah, at the moment, we're on 1,163 grams for a pair of 40 front, 45 rear wheels. Also like 21mm internal rim width. These things are gonna be wicked. Okay, moving on to the group set. Can you guess what it is? Can you guess what it is? It is not ERX. For the group set, we are going for... Well, that was anticlimactic. That's not what I want. For the group set, we are going for... Boom. Shimano Ultegra 12-speed Di2. So this is a bit of a conversation in itself, I guess. Why not L2? Why not Dura Ace, etc.? So L2, if you've been keeping up on the channel, I love it when it's working, but it isn't always working. And I need a reliable bike to do lots of wheel testing. So the option was Shimano or SRAM. Then SRAM, in my opinion, these days is a bit too heavy, so it was only left for Shimano. And then Shimano Dura Ace is way too expensive. It'll put us over budget. So as always, I think Ultegra is kind of like the sweet spot of a high-end build that won't break the bank too much. So all I needed was the shifting and the braking bits. So the shifters, front mech, rear mech, front brake and rear brake. I got those components for about $900 US. I don't need a crankset, so I'm going to use the Cybro one. I don't use a cassette, so I'm going to use my own one, blah, 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 blah. So I only needed those few components, which obviously helped save the money a bit too. But let's throw them all on scales and see what this is going to weigh up. Oh, and yeah, you know it's a legit source of components when it's all coming in brown paper bags and white paper bags. Thank you to my bike industry contacts. Okay, let's put this stuff on the scales then. So Di2 battery, 52.5 grams. I guess this is the front brake. Put him on there, front brake. Gee, that's heavy. 175 grams. Put him back in his drug dealer bag. This looks like the rear brake. Also 175 grams, okay. Brakes, looking a bit heavy if I'm honest. They might have to be upgraded. Getting worried about my weight target. Okay, shifters, there's one, there's the other. Another reason why I chose Ultegra or Shimano in general, 2 reasons actually. Number 1, the buttons on the HUDs, I do like these. I personally use them to switch through pages on the Garmin, and once you get used to it, it feels so prehistoric having to use your finger. So I know first world problems, but I like that. You don't get that on the L2 ERX. And the second reason is thumb shifters. So I'm going to put like climbing shifters on the bar too, because again, that's one of those things that I've been using like 10 years-ish with SRAM ETAP, and once you get used to it, it's hard to go back. So that was another reason to choose Shimano over L2. Anyway, let's see how much for this pair of shifters. 405 grams. Obviously, if you do choose L2 for this kind of build, you will save yourself a lot of money right off the bat, a couple of $100, which is always nice. Front derailleur, 111. Rear derailleur, oh, that's heavy. That is heavy. 261 grams. And then, I guess, mountain bolts for disc brakes, 20 grams, but you don't have to use them all, I guess. So, I don't know, we'll say 10 grams. So let's see if my weight estimate was right for the group set stuff. Please be right. Please be right. Okay, so that stuff comes into 1,180 grams. That is going to put me very close to my limit. That was a bit heavier than I thought. The under 6 kilogram target is looking tough, but we have ways. One such way to chop weight off this build is the handlebar. So you guys know I love the Fast Sports F1 handlebar and I love the EXS Aero handlebar. They are both super stiff, integrated aero handlebars, great for sprinters or whatever, but also I'm not a sprinter, so I've gone for the Avian's Canary. Now this is more of like a weight weenie bar. This actual one I weighed at 250 grams, which is crazy light, obviously around 70 grams lighter than the EXS and the Fast Sports ones maybe, but I guess you're losing some stiffness in there. But if you're not a sprinter, if you're not ragging around and that stuff, and if you're after a weight weenie build, that's what we go for. This bar will also be coming to pandapodium.cc. I've seen their test results from the test lab, so I know it's not gonna snap on you. And now I'm gonna put it on this build to ride it around for a bit and see if it handles that, but I have no problems there. I think the retail price is around $270 US, so not expensive either, roughly the same price as the Fast Sports and the EXS, so good price for a good bar, and yeah, save some weight on the build. Another way to save a bunch of weight is gonna be with this guy, haha. I've been trying to get my hands on one of these for literally years. If you've seen my Shanghai bike show videos, you'll see I always see this on the Parta stand and I always ask them for one and then never get one. But now, yay, I've got one. Thank you, Alan, for the hookup. And we're also going to be selling these on pandapodium.cc. Now, why do I love this saddle so much? This is why I love this saddle so much. 61.9 grams. That is ridiculous. So the brand is MVMT, I guess it's pronounced movement, and it's like the accessories brand of Pardus, or Padu, as my friend Jeffrey would say. Yeah, so usually this is sold on their complete bikes, so they can get the weight of the complete bike down a bit. Obviously 60 grams is insanely light, but they sell a lot of complete bikes, which means there are thousands of these rolling around out there. So if they're happy to sell it on all of those complete bikes, I know it must be legit. Also, it says maximum weight limit is 120 kilograms. I weigh 50 kilos, so this is not going to be an issue. Only comes in one size. I think it's 143 mil. I got a small arse and I'll ride anything. Things you shouldn't say in public. Yeah, so I'm super pumped on this. Obviously, also going to help with the weight situation. Also available on pandapodium.cc. I think it's $210 US, so obviously not a cheap saddle, but if you compare that to the price of like a Burke or all of the other super crazy light saddles, it's lighter than them and cheaper than them and has a higher weight limit. So yay, I'm stoked to get that on the site. Tires, yeah, so I love these tires. These are the Maxxis High Road SL. Big fan of this tire. Its rolling resistance is okay, I guess, but for weight, you cannot beat this thing. I went for 25s, so I've had two pairs of these before. I've had a pair in 25s on my Windspace SLC, and I have a pair in 28s, which was on my 3T. They're both amazing. I rode the SLC for the first time in ages today, and I forgot how fun it was to ride with 25 tires at like 90 PSI. So that's what I'm going back to. Inner tubes, of course, will be the ride now. Inner tubes. I do love tubeless, but I have too many bikes now, so each bike I have I only ride like once or twice a month, and that's not great for tubeless because the sealant sits there, it goes dry in one space, and then the wheel gets weighted funny and stuff. So I love tubeless, but I'm back on tubes. Let's see how heavy these guys are. Number one, 174 grams. Woohoo! Yes. And number two, 176 grams. So the two tires together Boom, 350 grams for 2 tires. A single like GP 5000 28mm tubeless TR or whatever weighs about the same, I'm fairly sure. So yes, winner winner chicken dinner, 350 grams of tires. Let's put that in there. That's gonna help me get some weight back down. Awesome. Love the smell of new tires. Chain, it's not actually arrived yet. I just got a YBN SLA12. I love YBN chains, as you all know. I think they do the manufacturing for Campagnolo. They last a long time. I've got them on most of my bikes these days. Uncut, it's like 260 grams with 126 links. I guess I'm going to cut quite a bit off because I use a compact chainring, so could get a little bit lighter as well, so we'll see about that. The cassette, so this is another place where I can save some weight and be sneaky. We have, this thing is also bike component porn. We have the 6-wheel 12-speed. I went for the 11 to 33 because I like to spin to win. And yeah, a 12-speed cassette. It comes in a whole bunch of funky colors, but I went for a bit of a boring silver to match the frame. It was really hard to resist the pink, but resist the pink I did. So we've got a plastic little spindle in the middle of this. I'll weigh it with a little plastic in there too. So 212 grams, and I'll throw the top cap on there just for fun. 217 grams. I know the plastic weighs a few grams. They're always right on the weights. The official weight for the cassette is 209 grams. So yeah, take off the 10 grams for the plastic and we are there. But yeah, this thing is going to be awesome. How will shifting be? The jury's out. I mean, I've used them before and they shift good. Not as amazing crisp as the Shimano Hyperglide, but when you use the Shimano Hyperglide, they've got their own cassette, they've got their own chain, everything. I'm going to be using a YBN chain anyway, so it's not going to be a Hyperglide, but we'll see how it shifts. I have maximum faith, but it's going to save me a lot of weight, and it's still a big cassette. 209 grams for a 33 tooth cassette with 12 sprockets is crazy. So again, that is going to save me some weight. It's not a cheap boy. This is like $360 US, so it is not a cheap cassette. If you want to cut some budget off this build, you could switch to the in-color Zoni cassette, which is like $200, or a more reasonable cassette, but I had some budget left over of my 6K target and I wanted to save every gram, so I thought I'd go for this cassette. Cranks, let's have a look. There was of course really only one choice. No, there was 2 choices, I'll be fair. I could have gone for the in-color Sky Pivot, a great crank set. I've got one of the old generation again on my SLC, which I ran for 2 years, no problem. So again, I think I talked about it in my 3T videos. Cybre are a cool brand. This is the brand of 2 of my friends, one called Tommy and one called Mian Mian. They are both real cyclists. They love bikes and all that stuff. So my crank length of choice is 165 millimeters for my short legs. Let's see how we off with just the crank arms. So 325 grams for the crank arms. I'm just going to use a regular aluminum Spider. 361 grams for the cranks with the Spider. I'm going to be using my Favera Asioma pedals on this build. I really like the extra data you get with the Asiomas, like how much you're standing up and how much you're sitting down. You don't get that with a Spider-based power meter, so I'm going to do that. It's also going to let me cheat a little bit and keep the weight of the build down and put more weight onto the pedals, because the weight of this build doesn't include pedals. I know people like Rides of Japan thinks that's a sin and every bike should be weighed with pedals, but people like Specialized and stuff, when they're saying the weight of their bike, it's excluding pedals. So we want to compare apples to apples. I'm doing this without pedals too. And before anyone says, oh, but you can't ride the bike without pedals, you can't ride the bike without a rider either. So you're going to put the weight of the rider in it? No, you're not, because I'm 51 kilos. You're not going to beat me. Come at me, bro. Anyway, round ended. 361 grams for the crank set with the Spider. For the chain rings themselves, obviously we need chain rings to go on there as well. Again, I'm going for Cybre, but you might think this is a strange choice. I'm going for the aluminium version, not the carbon version. Main reason is the carbon version is basically the same weight, but the alloy version can save you some money. And I'm trying to keep this budget under 6K for the whole build, so that's where we've gone for alloy. Let me have a look. How much for these two bad boys? 130 grams. And again, that's in a 50-34 because I like to spin. That whole package, so the cranks with the Spider with the chain rings, is all on pandapodium.cc. I think for that package it's like $629 US with free shipping. So yeah, a good bang for your buck in terms of weight to price ratio. Disc rotors, let's check them out. Okay, so disc rotors is one place where I decided to splash the cash and go for some Galfa. Yeah, Galfa rotors, they get a pretty good rep, I guess, amongst cyclists or whatever, so I thought I'd try them out. Not really helping on the budget. I paid about $90 US for this pair of rotors. Don't touch the surface, don't touch the surface, don't touch the surface. Let's see how much one weighs. One weighs 78 grams. So I run one for this front and rear because I'm a skinny mofo and I can. That's like what, 156 grams for the pair. So let's put that in there. Obviously you need lock rings as well. Ooh, 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 yay! Okay, no, there we go. Oh, ooh, stickers as well. Try the lock ring on its own. 12 grams for a lock ring. Oh, the CRWs, they come with lock rings now. I think it's like 10 grams. I can save 2 grams by using the CRW lock ring. Okay, but yeah, if I want to use that, bada bing, bada boom, that's an extra 10 grams, so I need to put that back in. This weight is going to be close, people. This weight is going to be close. Galfa rotors, if you've used them before, let me know in the comments down below. Am I going to regret it? I don't know, but pretty light. The price, okay. There's probably some better bang for your buck Chinese options, but I thought I'd try these and see what the fuss was about. Bottom bracket, another Cybre option. So if you listen to Hambini, which you should, he doesn't recommend using 30mm or 29mm dub cranksets on a BB86 frame, and he's right, you know, it's less than ideal to have those small bearings in there, but Cybre, they have their BB86 to dub bottom bracket, but Cybre bottom brackets in general, I've been a fan. They're the screw together kind, so in the middle obviously they're screwed together and that helps you press them in, but also maybe increases the stiffness a little bit. Again, maybe Hambini will disagree. I used a Hambini bottom bracket on my 3T and it is the bee's knees, no joke. But trying to keep the budget down a little bit on this build, so I went for the Cybre option. Let's have a look. 73.9 grams. So 73.9 grams, let's put that in there. So, yep, it's a bottom bracket. It does its job. We'll see. Bar tape, I don't have it with me, but in my warehouse, I have some EXS, ultralight, aerolite, whatever it's called, bar tape. That weighs 36 grams for the pair, I think. It's not my favorite feeling bar tape. It feels okay, but keep the weight down, 36 grams, you can't complain. Also in stock at Panda Podium, so of course bonus. I think it's like $19 or something. And so if we go to the XL, I think that puts us on target to be around 5,882 grams. Of course, there's always some leverage. You're going to cut off some brake cables, but you're going to put some hydraulic oil in there. When you charge up the battery, it gets 10 grams heavier. All this stuff to consider, but we should be ballpark around there. I've got 100 grams of safety margin to keep me under the 6 kilogram mark, so I hope that's doable. Budget-wise, we're at $5,938 as well, so still got $60 to spend on, I don't know, whatever you want to spend $60 on. I'm going to get this camera out of here, turn on the lights, and start building this bike. So this should be built pretty soon. In the description below, I'll try to put links to all these parts. Maybe I'll make this spreadsheet shared and just have the links in there too. That'll work. But yeah, in general, super excited to get this build on the road. Sub 6x6. Are we going to do it? Let me know in the comments down below. The next video is going to be me building this up or riding it. I don't like shooting bikes as I build them. It takes forever. That's Trace Fellow's dig. He can keep going with that. Shout out to Luke. But the next video is going to be me riding this thing, I guess, then. So subscribe so you don't miss that video. Any other comments, any questions about these components? What would you change on this build? Also let me know in the comments down below. And I guess I'll see you next time. China Cycling out.